So you probably read in the description of my ascend block pattern that my husband and I ascended this mountain after an illness almost took my life. And this place has a lot of special meaning to us. And it's just a reminder of how precious life is and how much we all have to give in this life. And I'm so grateful that I get to share my block with you and a teeny tiny bit of my story with you. It would take me hours and hours to tell you the whole thing. But the very short of it is, after I had gotten home from the hospital, I still had a walker, and I couldn't do anything by myself for a long time. I could not breathe very well. I couldn't even go to the bathroom by myself. And my therapist at the time said, I want you to pick a hike you've never done before. I want you to research the snot out of it. And I want you to pick a date, and you're gonna do it. And I want it to be this year. And that felt completely insurmountable. It just didn't even feel like that was possible, but we did it. We researched it. We picked out this guy right here, and we said, we're doing it. So it took me a long time to get up this mountain. 4 years ago. It was 4 years ago. But we did it. So I don't know what you're facing. I'm really cold right now, so I'm sorry if I'm shaking a little bit. I don't know what you're facing. I don't know what you're going through. But if you can visualize something better on the other side, go ascend that mountain. It's worth it. So, are you guys ready for a couple of tips on how to make your ascend blocks? I have those for you. Let's get to quilting.
Marking your fabric for the ascend block is going to prove extremely helpful. No matter if you're making 4 at a time HSTs, 1 at a time HSTs, or if you are using the snowball technique on the blocks, you definitely want to mark your fabrics. When using the snowball technique, always test your seam first with a finger press, or you can even press it with an iron before you cut the excess away from the block. Sometimes you may find that you need to rip the seam and move the seam line over just a hair to give the fabric a little more room to fold. Because I am a visual learner, I find it really helpful to lay out all of my pieces. Every time I start a new section within a quilt pattern or even within a block pattern, I always lay out every piece that I'm going to need. I also utilize the labels that come with most quilt patterns. For the sweater weather sampler, you can use the universal labels provided to you in the welcome email, or you can use the labels attached to this ascend block pattern. The only difference between the two sets of labels is the inclusion of the HST labels that are found within the block pattern. As mentioned in the cutting directions, the 4 at a time HST method was written in such a way that you will have minimal waste. But if that makes you nervous, go ahead and cut your starting pieces just a little bit bigger as stated at the bottom of the cutting chart. When making 4 at a time half square triangles, we are exposing the bias edge of the fabric, which is also known as the stretchy edge. So long as you handle your pieces with care and you don't tug on them when cutting, ironing, or piecing, you shouldn't have any trouble at all. Just be kind and gentle to your HSTs. I am a huge fan of block lock rulers for trimming HSTs. The little gutter on the back side of the ruler locks onto the folded edge where the two fabrics meet. I find that I can trim accurately every single time when I use a block lock ruler. You can also use a regular ruler with a 45-degree line to trim an HST. Just keep that seam line directly under the 45-degree line when you're trimming. Next, let's use the snowball technique so that we can finish making the bird units for this block. Again, I would like to point out that accuracy will make a big difference and alleviate headaches when we go to match up our bird units in the next coming steps. Just take your time. You've got this. This is where those HST labels are going to come in handy. Take your time when you're matching up the top of the bird unit with the bottom of the bird unit. If you find that the seams don't match up perfectly, it's okay. It's going to quilt out. Nobody's going to notice that but you. But if you find that your bird units are a little too short, you may have used too large of a seam allowance when you sewed them together. It might be worth it to pull those apart and use a smaller or scant seam allowance so that all of the bird units line up perfectly. Hey, look how fast this is going. We're already on section 3. And now you're a pro at snowballing corners with accuracy. But in this section, we will be matching up diagonal lines from one unit to the next. So remember, take your time and mark each individual piece so that you can follow the marked line perfectly with your sewing machine. Don't be afraid to play with the seams, pressing it to one side or the other so that you can get things to line up more accurately. And this little seam allowance at the bottom of fabric C, that's important. Make sure you have at least 1/4 inch at the bottom of that gold section. On to section 4 we go. You know the drill. Lay out all your pieces and label them all. Take your time to mark everything when you're doing your snowball pieces. And test everything with a finger press or with an iron before you cut off the excess. Because I am a visual learner, I do really like to lay everything out even as I am building an entire block. I keep using the labels until I don't need them anymore. I keep lining everything up to make sure everything measures the way that it's supposed to according to the pattern, and I just take my time to sew things together one by one by one. Oh my gosh, we're almost done! It's time to put all 4 pieces together and measure your block. I specifically wrote this pattern so that you can decide how big you need the borders to be so that your block finishes at 20.5 by 20.5. Maybe your block didn't quite finish the way that it's supposed to in the pattern. It's okay. No one's gonna know the difference. Just change your border size to fit whatever your block size ended up being after you pieced all 4 sections together. After making hundreds of t-shirt quilts that have borders on them, I will tell you it is very, very important to pin or clip your borders on both edges first and then work out the excess fabric along the middle. Oh my gosh, we're so close to the end. Can you see it? Can you feel it? I can. Take your time sewing the borders on. You don't want to stretch or pull on your fabric. If you want to have a nice square block when you're done, make sure again you're clipping or pinning to the ends first and then working out that excess in the middle. I also always press away from the block to help it be nice and flat at the end. You did it. You finished.
I'm just so grateful. God gave me another chance at life.
I don't know what you're going through. I don't know what you've been through. I only know my own story. And I'm grateful for my tribe, my village. They help me get through it. You can get through it too. Just keep going. Don't you dare give up.